6:45 a.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. The Ministry of Energy says another ship carrying fuel arrived in Sri Lanka last evening. The 2021 scholarship exam results released. Cabinet subcommittees on economic way forward initiate deliberations, the China-Sri Lanka FTA to be fast-tracked. The daily COVID-19 cases count at 311 yesterday. It is stressed that the general public should understand and show more interest towards the archaeological resources of the country. Power interruptions scheduled for today. The Ambilipitia paper factory has recommenced its operations. In news overseas, Russia faces brain drain as thousands flee abroad. In sports news, Sri Lanka need 419 runs to win the second test or to stay at the wickets for 3 days to save the test. The Ministry of Energy says another ship carrying fuel arrived in Sri Lanka last evening. The Secretary to the Ministry of Energy, KDR Olga, said the ship would bring 20,000 metric tons of diesel and 20,000 metric tons of petrol. She added, the ship with 38,300 metric tons of diesel currently at the port will be unloaded today. It was unable to load the fuel stock the day before yesterday owing to a technical fault in the ship. A payment of $52 million has already been made for the shipment. Due to the increase in the price of crude oil in the world market, an additional $16 million had to be paid for the stock of fuel. The Secretary said that the 7,000 metric ton super diesel ship that was brought to Sri Lanka is still unloading. She added the shortage of super diesel in the country will be settled when the unloading of the ship is over. The results of the Grade 5 Scholarship Examination of 2021 have been released online, the Department of Examinations said in a media statement published yesterday. The results can be accessed via the official website of the Examinations Department, www.doenets.lk, that's www.doenets.lk. The 3 cabinet subcommittees appointed by the President last month to negotiate with China, Japan and the Middle East region on economic matters met for the first time on the 9th and the 10th of March at the Parliament under the chairmanship of the Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Paris. Commencing its task, the cabinet subcommittees convened the initial meetings with the participation of cabinet ministers Bandula Gunawardena, Namal Rajapaksa, Ali Sabri, Ramesh Patirana and Johnston Fernando, who function as the members of the subcommittees. The committees were appointed based on a cabinet memorandum presented by the Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa under the theme Economy 2022 and the way forward to negotiate with countries from which essential food items, raw materials and industrial goods required for the export-oriented industries are imported to the country with a view to identifying alternative methods of importing such goods. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get extra 10 rupees for every dollar and receive a refund of transaction fees up to rupees 1,000 when depositing funds to a rupee account from People's Bank.
The Health Ministry says that another 311 persons have tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday as a daily count of new cases continues to rise in the country. This brings a tally of COVID-19 cases registered in the country thus far to 656,041. According to official figures, 618,886 positive cases have recovered. Following the new development, the number of virus-infected people who are undergoing treatment moved to 20,758. Meanwhile, the death toll stands at 16,397. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka PUCSL has approved the Ceylon Electricity Board's request for power interruptions for today, the 14th of March. Thereby the areas listed under groups P, Q, R, S, T, U, V and W will experience 2-hour power cuts between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. The aforementioned areas will again experience power outages of 1 hour between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. Meanwhile, the electricity supply for the areas mentioned under groups A, B, C, D, E, F, G and H will be interrupted for a period of 2 hours and 30 minutes between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. These areas will experience nighttime power cuts for 1 hour and 15 minutes between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. That's local news.
Get extra 10 rupees for every dollar and receive a refund of transaction fees up to rupees 1,000 when depositing funds to a rupee account from People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Secretary to the State Ministry of National Heritage, Public Performance and Rural Arts Promotion, Mrs. Nishanti Jayasinghe, emphasizes the importance that the general public should change their attitudes and thinking processes towards understanding the ground situation of the archaeological resources of the country. The general public should show more interest in archaeological resources, she added. An awareness should be created among school children in this regard, the Secretary added.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Live is brought to you by
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
The central bank requests the public to provide information on unauthorized foreign currency dealings. Permission to buy, sell and exchange foreign currency in Sri Lanka is granted only to authorized dealers and money changers appointed by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Therefore, if it is noted that any person, institution or any other entity is engaged in unauthorized foreign exchange dealings, the public is hereby requested to inform the Foreign Exchange Department of the CBSL via the following telephone numbers: 0112 398827, 0112 477 375, 0112 398 568. Once again, 0112 398 827, 0112 477 375, 0112 398 568, or via email dfem@cbsl.lk. That's dfem@cbsl.lk.
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
No matter what anyone says, for your lease, visit the Leasing Mahagethara. People's Leasing, friendly leasing Mahagethara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
In world news headlines, Russia faces brain drain as thousands flee abroad. Ukraine war, sky turned red as missiles hit Lviv military base. Erbil attack, Iran launches missiles at northern Iraqi city. Outside Georgia's parliament, Yevgeny Lyamin heaves boxes of clothes and food parcels onto a waiting truck bound for Ukraine. He is one of more than 25,000 Russians to have arrived in Georgia since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russians have been struggling to find affordable accommodation in all the major cities. Many can be seen wandering around the capital, Tbilisi, with their suitcases and often even their pets. A blue and yellow ribbon is attached to the lapel of Yevgeny's trench coat, the colors of the Ukrainian flag. It was these ribbons that got him arrested at an anti-war protest in Russia a day after it launched its war in Ukraine. Witnesses to a deadly Russian attack on a Ukrainian military base have told how the sky turned red as missiles struck the site near the Polish border. At least 35 people died in the strike on the Yavoriv training base near a major crossing point into Poland used by refugees from the conflict. Russia fired around 30 cruise missiles at the base outside the city of Lviv early on Sunday, the local governor said. Hours after the attack, ambulances were still rushing to the scene. Iran's Revolutionary Guards Force says it targeted an Israeli strategic center with missiles that struck the Iraqi Kurdish city of Erbil overnight. 12 missiles hit areas around the U.S. consulate overnight, causing material damage and wounding one civilian, the Kurdistan regional government said. The U.S. said no Americans were hurt and that its facilities were not damaged in what it called the outrageous attack. Israel's military and government declined to comment on Iran's claim. And now the main points of the world news segment once again. Russia faces brain drain as thousands flee abroad. Ukraine war, sky turned red as missiles hit Lviv military base. Erbil attack, Iran launches missiles at northern Iraqi city. That was world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
For your wheel lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, friendly leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
And now in development news, the Ambilipitia paper factory has recommenced its operations. An MOU in this regard was signed recently between the National Paper Corporation and the Korean Packaging Private Limited. According to the MOU, the Korean company will invest around 3,500 million rupees on this venture.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
In cricket news, Sri Lanka need 419 runs to win the second test or to stay at the wickets for 3 days to save the test. Bumrah, Bant and Iyer leave Sri Lanka struggling to survive. However, Sri Lanka need an extraordinary batting performance to win or save the test. It is a turning wicket, but it shows some comfort to batsmen as well. But a smart batting will help Sri Lanka to overcome this challenge. In scores, India batted first and made 252 in their first innings and declared their second innings at 303 for 9. Sri Lanka in return made 109 in their first innings and were 28 for 1 at the close of the second day's play of the second test match.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The National Saving Bank's savings has exceeded 1.3 trillion rupees, the NSB CEO GM Ajit Pires said. Addressing the bank's 50th anniversary celebrations held at Water's Edge on Thursday, he said the bank's dream is to be the third largest bank in Sri Lanka and expects to achieve this feat by next year. Pires said the bank recorded its highest profits in its history in 2021, which was 22 billion rupees, and had provided over 3.6 billion moratorium benefits to over 90% of its customers in the past year. Pires said NSB has invested over 800 billion rupees in government bonds so far and is the only bank that gives a 100% government guarantee for customer deposits. He said the NSB is the only local bank that received the AAA certification for 19 consecutive years in a row.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
And now in economic news, India and Sri Lanka have signed an agreement for developing a 100-megawatt solar power plant in the island nation's eastern port district of Trincomalee, Sampur, as part of the efforts to strengthen bilateral economic partnership, including through cooperation in the renewable energy sector. The signing ceremony took place on Friday at the Ministry of Finance of Sri Lanka for the plant in the country's eastern province. The joint venture and shareholders agreement for the Trincomalee Power Company Limited, a joint venture between National Thermal Power Corporation Limited from India and the Ceylon Electricity Board for developing the 100-megawatt solar power plant at Sampur has been signed, the Indian mission said in a statement.
The Weather Report.
The Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the Sabaragamuwa, central, Uva, western and southern provinces during the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers, about 50 millimeters, can be expected at some places in these areas. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize the damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during the thundershowers. This weather report was issued this morning at 5:30 a.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the International Weather Forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that the day's weather will be bright with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature would be around 31 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 24 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in select spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be 24 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index is 26, which shows a fair condition in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. However, sensitive groups may experience minor to moderate symptoms from long-term exposure. That was the weather report, and now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. The Ministry of Energy says another ship carrying fuel arrived in Sri Lanka last evening. The 2021 scholarship examination results released. Cabinet subcommittees on the economic way forward initiate deliberations, the China-Sri Lanka FTA to be fast-tracked. The daily COVID-19 cases count at 311 yesterday. It is stressed that the general public should understand and show more interest towards the archaeological resources of the country. Power interruptions scheduled for today. The Ambalipitia paper factory has recommenced its operations. In news overseas, Russia faces brain drain as thousands flee abroad. In sports news, Sri Lanka need 419 runs to win the second test or to stay at the wickets for 3 days to save the test. That concludes this news broadcast.